Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, your like a book club for people hate reading. This month's theme is Bloody Christmas, so I picked the anime Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, and I bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, Ryan Preston, and old guy Rob Jones.
Hey, old guys here.
Before the start of the show, we wanted to give our condolences to the family of actor Paul Walker, who recently this weekend died in a car accident. And if you're not familiar with his work, he primarily is famous for the Fast and Furious movies. Yeah. He's done other ones, but we really wanted to give our condolences, and, it's sad to see the way that guy died.
The family and friends and fans and all our condolences. It's a shame that anybody should die that young.
He was 40 years old.
We're not going to have a Fast and Furious 12.
Probably.
Not with him in it.
Well, Vin Diesel's still around.
Yeah, and so is
There's
everybody
hope.
else.
Hey,
Yeah, they're going to do the next 7 in memoriam.
Hey, somebody's got to die in the movie.
Ouch.
Wow.
That's cold even for us.
I know.
Hey,
jeez.
reality.
So James Stevens has the synopsis of this movie.
Okay, so Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. In the far distant future, vampires rule the night. But because of the fearless bounty hunters, their numbers dwindle. One such is D, a half-breed born of a human mother and a vampire father. He is hired by a father-son team to retrieve Charlotte, a lovely young lady who was abducted by the vampire Mirror Link. However, they also hired Marcus Brothers for competition. In a race against time across the lands, Dee and the brothers fight their way through demons and monsters to save the woman, and slowly begin to suspect that she wasn't taken against her will.
Apparently he didn't like the other IMDb description, which is much shorter.
And that another threat looms in the distance.
Really? You picked the long one? Yep. Really?
Yep.
Jeez.
If you're going to do it right.
That is right. Well, the short one is like a sentence. When a girl is abducted by a vampire, a legendary bounty hunter is hired to bring her back.
Now this anime is based...
Tale as old as time.
Hey, did you tell the audience, too, that Ryan isn't just holding his breath the whole time we're doing the show
he
here?
Is.
Okay.
We're doing a ventriloquist trick.
I mean,
literally phoning it in this time.
That's right. He's phoning it in, and the picture on the screen in front of you is just that, a picture. So although if you watch closely...
it is the picture of me holding my breath.
That's right. But if you watch closely, his eyes blink.
I know.
So this anime is based off
Gesundheit,
of...
Ryan.
I'm never going to say this right. Hadaiki? I suck at pronouncing names. This is based off the third Vampire Hunter D novel, Demon Death Chase. If you guys are familiar with it.
Hideyuki Tanaka?
Yeah.
Oh.
However you say it, I can't pronounce it.
That's a mouth
Banaka?
thing. Yeah.
Racist.
Tanaka.
Racist.
Okay.
So
it's the one you go up to your nose.
So let's let the old guy go first.
Oh no!
No,
the old guy wants to go last. You're gonna want the old guy.
I'm gonna let him go last.
No. Let the old guy do last because
we already know you're gonna panic.
You may be off
He
the air
usurps you.
as soon as I'm done here. So please.
He takes your crown and throws it down.
That's right.
Well, then let's see.
Old guy be last.
Let's see if I don't hit the accidentally unrecord button.
I'm curious to find out what Ryan wants to know. I am very curious about Rob, but Rob doesn't want to do it yet.
So okay, Ryan, your ball.
Yeah, sure. I'll go if you guys are just going to keep arguing about it. First off, the anime style is not something that I'm uninitiated in. So it wasn't much for me to get past it. But to the uninitiated, it can be a little jarring, that style of animation. Although you do seem to kind of catch up to it like halfway through and sort of forget the bizarre style. But it's weird
this one, I think
for
they
Americans.
kind of did a throwback. And kind of the style of animation.
Kind of a throwback,
it's
but it's also a different style. Like, I was thinking the same thing, like, kind of had that 70s sort of, what do they call that style? I'm not going to think of it. Anyway, it's a really 70s style of animation.
Yeah,
it is weird. Like, a couple of the scenes of the frozen background and the anime that have the animation over it. That's something that's always driven me nuts. Especially when they pan into it in a couple of scenes. Like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the kind of thing. I think this actually came out around the same time as Dragon Ball Z, but it was obviously just a little bit darker, but a lot of the same movement.
There's actually original, which was made in 1980 something.
Yeah, DBZ was way before this.
Yeah,
Are
this
you talking
one
about Vampire Hunter?
No, but this particular one was made in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And partly because they wanted to really update how crappy the 1980s one looked.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'm a fanboy of the original because that was the very first anime I saw on Japanimation Sunday and Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. But yeah.
See what you did. Anyways,
things have looked better. As good of a story as it might have been, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, getting into the story though. The only other thing I'll say about the animation, I love how ambiguous the mouths move. So it could be really translated into any language,
right?
And the mouths would match.
I actually learned something reading
IMDb
to see it in German. That this is actually translated. The voice work for English was actually done first, which is rare. That's the first one I've ever heard of.
That is pretty rare.
Yeah, it's unusual.
Except for Airbender.
Yeah, which is an American cartoon. So sorry, what were you saying, Ryan?
I was going to say, getting into the story. I was surprised how, because obviously I haven't really seen the Vampire D series or any really thing about it. I know I've been aware of it for a long time, but I've been burned before on vampire stories. That's all I'll say. So
yeah.
I was surprised on how, even though in sort of the post-apocalyptic kind of distant future world, they were able to really harken back to the really old school legends of it all. Whether they took liberties with it or not, they seem to kind of hold the
took liberties with it.
Well, it's actually, since I'm the only one who's actually read the novel, at least, there's only a few things that were different from the lore they created in the book.
Okay, I'm talking about that.
Well, okay, but I'm talking about the original vampire stories.
Okay.
I mean, this is not. Vampire D was not the first vampire hunter story to ever come out. I think Van Helsing would probably predate it by about 100 years.
Oh yeah,
At least.
Yeah. I didn't think they did too bad. There are a few
not
things.
Not to mention Blade predates it also.
I did you have to? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I had to. I mean, it was created in a Marvel book of all things, and it was sort of part of a Dracula series.
Twilight.
Oh jeez.
So, sorry, what were you saying?
That's low blow.
Well, anyway, just that the story itself, even though it was the post-apocalyptic, really kind of held true to a lot of the classic legends, as opposed to. I mean, they did make a bunch of things fantastical and a little bit out there, but it was mostly in the style of the animation. As I like to refer to it, the Super Saiyan style. The bigger the finishing move, the longer he flies through the air, kind of thing.
True. I got you, but I didn't see too much of that made me think of that.
No, it definitely wasn't played up as much as it has been in the past, or in the future rather, after that is made.
It seemed to be scenes where they were trying to build up drama, like towards the end when he was going to stab Meyerlink. That was they had that 30-second,
Right, yeah, they definitely didn't do it every 30 seconds as some, cartoons or anime have been known to do. But I definitely like how the wardrobe had regressed back to, the 1860s.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was a little interesting.
Chicks are wearing bustles and...
Well, some of this would be more a really steampunk-esque style.
Well, of course, her gun
sort of.
For one.
Yeah.
The gun she pulled out was very steampunkish. Also, the gun that the old man pulled out.
Yeah. That more looked like
their tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same idea.
But you brought up something that the world had kind of regressed. I mean, you see him walking through what's that satellite field? I can't think of the name of it right now that we have.
Oh, you mean the SETI field?
Yeah.
He's walking through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that, and that was all broken down and stuff.
Right.
But the thing that really interested me, they really did not go into the reason for the mechanical horses.
Hmm.
And if you can build a mechanical horse, you can build a car.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had the tank.
They did have the
car.
tank.
It's a big car.
They did, but I mean, it was more normal for people to be going around in the mechanical horses.
I think they were cyborg horses for some reason. I don't remember why I'm thinking that, but I always thought that was the same thing.
Well, when he lost that horse and it fell off the cliff and it hit the ground, you saw blood and guts and ribs and everything.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was going to say, did I miss something in those horses were mechanical?
Yeah, they were mechanical, and
like
the old man was kind of working on them.
Yeah.
Right.
He was fixing one up.
So I think a cyborg horse is the best description.
Yeah, I was going to say it's more of like a cyborg then.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I mean, it was that was a weird thing, and I don't know if they explained that in the book that you were saying that you read. I know there is books, but
a little bit. They don't explain the reason why all of a sudden people go from driving cars to riding, mechanical
And I think
horses.
the first time I saw this one, I watched it with you, and we went over the parasite in his hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was something that was kind of interesting and kind of cool, except for, I mean, he's always there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does he hold it when he goes to the bathroom?
There are so many bad things about a parasite that's in the palm of your hand.
But the funny,
there's so many.
But it's a great.
Had no teeth either.
It's a great story. It's a great plot device, though. You're able to use it in ways to add to the story that you wouldn't have otherwise, without it being as unrealistic as a hand is. The sucking, the spell in. You can definitely add to the story.
Hey, it's an anime. You can do any damn thing you want. And,
exactly.
And this anime shows that you can do any damn thing you want.
Oh, no, this anime doesn't do that.
Oh,
There's
it
other
does.
Ones. There's other ones out there that you can do a lot of things for. Do you have more to add, Ryan?
Okay. Just a couple things. I liked some of the American voice actors.
Because Dwight Schultz did it.
I can't remember the guy's name in the thing, but one of them was the sheriff, and it was the voice of Bender, John DiMaggio.
Yeah.
No wonder.
And also the voice of Layla. I don't know if you recognize it, but the whole time I was like, damn, I know that voice from somewhere. It's Pam Adlon. She's the voice of Bobby Hill.
Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Thank you. I kept going. It's like, I know that voice. Why does that voice sound familiar?
Yep, me too. I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, Pamela Adlon. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some actually really good voice actors that jumped on this one.
But it seemed to be a little over Americanized. I don't know, because it's such a hard sell with some of those characters. It just almost didn't fit. And I started really paying attention to it, and I really couldn't figure out why it didn't fit so much. But it's something about it still kind of looked, foreign, I guess, to my, uninitiated American eyes, I don't know, maybe an English accent for the entire thing would have made it a little bit.
There was only one voice actress, the voice actor that thought that didn't work was the Bobby Hill lady. For some reason, her voice just didn't match the body to me. For some reason, that really stood out.
I can see that. It was kind of a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I can't place
it didn't quite match.
It just seemed
it
really.
was the accent.
That might. I don't know. That may be it.
Yeah. Anyway, this one I never thought the plot was there.
Oh no, this is a thin plot.
I always thought the plot was forced, not much there, and there was not much motivating this film at all.
A lot of it, I think, is like when I wrote in my notes, is I think they tried to build on the kind of the story around it and some of the lore, and I think you got to be a fan of vampires in general to at least find it remotely interesting or love the series.
I found it interesting at times. I mean, they threw in Camilla, which if you're familiar with vampires at all, you know Camilla. They threw in his dad as the king of vampires, which would mean Dracula type thing. So there was little tidbits that would keep a vampire fan interested. They kind of had, I don't know what the heck those things were supposed to be, like vampire wolf zombie things that they would turn them into.
The monsters.
Yeah, they were. Oh, what is it? There's a term like Helsing had them in there.
Yeah, but they're the ghoul.
Yeah.
They're not. They really didn't fit very well because you couldn't really tell if they were like supposed to be some type of werewolf knockoff or lichen, or if they were supposed to be what they were supposed to be. But they
did. They seem to have kind of a mix mash of cryptozoic type of random things.
But there's a lot of mutants, because they explain it, I think, in the very first one about somehow there being mutants and people with strange powers.
Anyway, so that kind of was just thrown in the mix, and they killed like a couple hundred of them, and then you didn't really see them again. And, it was just kind of everywhere. They introduced you to this underground mutant area that was being run by, a little midget clown circus guy. Dwight Schultz did a great job in that role, but, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, that's where I was talking about mutants. Yeah.
There's a bunch of different things and they don't explain what the heck that drug is that guy took that made him go kind of, hello.
You had the out-of-body experience. Yeah. The dangerous out-of-body experience.
Hold on. Ryan, do you remember a Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns is getting radioactive injections and goes around and Mulder and Scully? That's what that whole thing reminds me of, doesn't it? Like, hello, I'm your friend. Here, I'll kill you. Anyway. No, some people, Simpsons fans, would get that. But, there was so many different things that seemed forced, thrown in there, that didn't really kind of mesh with the plot. And, then you get into this part where then they go back to the royalty, and then they go into Camilla's castle to get her little spaceship to go fly up to this destroyed space station that they show. So, that takes away from it. The only thing that I find entertaining in it is, you can kind of throw it in and it's a no-brainer. Really. Camilla did have a nice hat, though.
It was a really classic kind of, boil it down, it's the endless love Dracula story.
Yeah,
with a twist with the futuristic and the vampire hunters. Mm-hmm. Both of which probably couldn't have existed on their own, but together made a halfway decent hour-and-a-half story.
Yeah, but I liked the character of Dee. I do. Mm-hmm. I would like to have had this been something more in depth to tell the story rather than just throw in and here's your hero, go do this, and
I would have liked to see explain the world a little more.
They actually, this is where I think the problem is when you do the book to film, because the book actually, a lot of us makes.
Was this Shyamalala Ding Dong that did this?
No, the book actually makes a lot more sense. So I'm reading the book. There's a lot of parts like, okay, that makes sense.
Never mind. Scorsese had a hand in it.
So I'll agree. Definitely reading it. It's definitely haphazardly put together at parts, especially when they introduce the brothers and they don't explain anything with that one chick very well.
I would have liked to have seen the brothers more,
The other part being Camilla, they don't explain anything about her really besides the initial how she died.
Yeah, they explain how she died and that her ghost is wandering around playing mind games with people. That's about it. And then they go in and they have mind games played and then they go and kill Camilla again.
Yeah. And then there's the Barbaroi, which makes sense plot-wise, but they're just kind of this random weirdos in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you're cruising through, and all of a sudden you have to pay a toll at the Barbarois.
Yeah,
of your life.
Yeah,
sorry, you're dead.
I happen to really like this, but that's just because I'm kind of a Vampire Hunter D fanboy.
And it kind of seems like they kind of threw it into the steampunk era, which would throw it back into like Mad Max and type of thing, and that's kind of what you get a feel of, but it's not really Mad Max. It's a different mutant universe with vampires.
It's like the high tech, low tech.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so I think we skipped over Johnny.
No, I pretty much added it. There's really the thing I
kind of covered everything.
Yeah, the thing I thought, as I said earlier, was because the plot's extremely thin, but I think between the lore and the universe they tried to create, I think they added a little bit more to it, but it's still a very basic, guy's hired, guy goes does this, guy has competition. It's a very basic plot.
Yeah, it's a very simple, easy plot, and anyway.
Even George Lucas couldn't have screwed this one up.
Okay, I'm done. See you guys later.
Wow, we covered everything?
How long was this?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half. So that's an hour and 30 minutes of my life I will never get back.
Yeah.
I can't believe 4 adults are sitting around talking about this movie to such a degree as, you're talking about
Welcome to
zombies.
Real Flix Reviews.
and we're,
at the same time, we're trying to kill 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
We spent 30 minutes talking about the new Snooperman movie. You could have talked about it in 5 and it'd been too much time.
Anyway, so my opinion about it, it's interesting. I realized that it was a book, and so I looked at it as a book. And when you look at it as a book, it made a whole lot more sense to me. If you just sat there and watched it, the reality is my age group would probably go, "What in the hell are you watching?" It doesn't make any sense.
But then again, your age group had the Lord of the Rings rotoscoped and the Hobbit.
All in book.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking of.
And, the question is, they were probably frying, so it was probably a little bit more realistic.
And then those Uber,
the Rainbow
Uber guys,
Man.
And don't forget those Uber fanboys of that stuff back then were all on mushrooms too.
See, I was right.
So.
Anyways.
But anyway, no, and like I said, for me to make sense of this movie, I looked at it as a book, and I could see the chapters, and here's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Yeah. It was very chopped, so it went from scene to scene to scene to scene, and okay, so I said, all right, so we got a book here. I could see that. Is it the worst thing I've ever seen? Hell no. Is it the best thing I've ever seen? Hell no. It's anime. And I will say I think I've seen better anime, but I'm not an anime fan per se. I'm not like John, who just has a huge collection of anime that he spent thousands of dollars on. It's not worth shit, but I'm sorry.
Actually,
here he goes. He's going to justify it.
I do have some pretty rare
ones,
ones, so there might be somebody
I
who's
didn't mean to cut you down on that.
Yeah, sure. I see how it is.
But I do think that there are movies and whatever it may be that go for certain age groups. There's a demographic that it looks for.
Okay. This is aimed for fanboys, hardcore.
I think it did. Now, in the 70s, in the 80s was where anime I was, and I did see some early stuff. And like I said, a lot of the early stuff that we saw, the quality was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just awful. I mean, Rocky and Bullwinkle look better as far as quality goes.
Well, it definitely depends on the ones in the 70s definitely were awful, especially the ones in the early 80s.
And then, of course, some of the early stuff we saw were only in Japanese. So then they went ahead and they had titles that you had to read as well. So, you're listening to it in Japanese, you're watching it and reading the titles, and you're trying to get the movie. But that's not this movie, so that's off topic on it. Anyway, would I recommend anybody to waste an hour and 30 minutes watching this movie? No. But with that said, what is interesting is the graphics itself. If you look at the artistic content of the graphics, I thought they were quite good.
They were.
Being somebody who's tried to draw himself, meaning learning to draw pictures of people in cartoons and things like that, it's not that easy.
No, it's not.
And to do what they did in this film, I really appreciated it. How they did the costumes, how they did the castles, even just some of the way they did some of the blood that could even go uphill. I mean, that was pretty amazing stuff. So there are definitely some good things about it on that level, on the actual filmmaker level. But for the rest of it, for me, it's not my cup of tea.
So I have a kind of a out of the blue question. What was your favorite weapon in the thing? Because there's only one to me that I always thought was cool to watch.
Me?
Yeah.
You mean the weapon in this movie?
Yeah.
What weapons out of all the weapons?
Yeah, because my favorite...
It's got to be D's.
Because I like D's, but my favorite one was those weird things that guy was able to
blades
spin.
The blades?
I always thought that was cool, because I've seen it in multiple animes, and it's just like, I always thought that was a neat effect.
Well, I think the guy with the arrows that somehow, you looked in his quiver and he had like 6 arrows in his quiver, and the next thing you know, there's 2,000 arrows shooting in the air. Now, I thought that was pretty tricky.
And
he was good with it, too.
Yeah, he was good.
And
he got it to hook around a tree.
Yeah.
And there were silver arrows, too. For my first thought, did he spend a couple of hours trying to clean them up?
Or no, he probably didn't clean them up. Probably didn't recover them. He just probably kept on having a bunch around.
Must be a lot of silver.
I agree with you. I like D's sword. I thought that was really cool. And it was obviously very quality built, considering that it didn't break during the heated
That's right.
Heated
battle. Big battle. All right.
Heated battle.
Yeah, go figure. The guy's cape broke first.
Yeah. How about that?
So the only scene I thought in the whole movie that really stood out as being very, very different than the rest of the movie was the scene in the castle, because it went from a very, very normal, nothing out of the ordinary, to a very kind of trippy.
Yeah,
they did this, they did that. It was kind of like, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, but now No, I wouldn't say that there was any major scene that stood out different that was better than any other. I just kind of think it was, I just think it was kind of like Rob said, it was very choppy at times. I always do enjoy the scene where Dee goes and pays $300,000 for that horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they come in and try to bully him out of town, and the old man stands up for him. Yeah, you know, I thought it was really and
the old man was one of the kids.
Coins,
and it was one of the kids, and that's a good part of the story.
Yeah,
he was
I
one
like
of the kids
that
he had rescued. So
yeah.
So here's the question: what do you give it, Rob?
Me?
Yep.
Remember, we don't do halves.
Yeah,
No
I know
halves.
we don't do halves. Okay, I'll give it a 2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty generous of me.
Ryan?
Unfortunately, Johnny, my opinions tend to mirror your the old guys a little more than yours on this one. Really, the only interest that I had in it going into it was I'm a vampire fan. James knows that.
Yeah.
He loves but I've seen good ones. I've seen bad ones. This is not the worst by far. There's worse. There's no need to get into that. But I can name a ton that are better. And since we don't do halves, I gotta go 2.
James?
See, yeah, I gotta say, I can't go as low as you guys. I gotta go with a 3. But that is my mediocre to normal one. It's got to be pretty bad to go 2 and lower.
What was the last movie you gave a 3 to?
The last movie
we did. Okay, so the last movie we did, in this anime, you're putting at the same level?
Well, we can't do halves.
No halves.
Well, I know we can't, but I think we should. I think maybe we need to instigate halves.
No halves.
But
if we were going to do it, I would put it at like a 2.8.
Oh, God.
It's
all right,
not
never
lower
mind.
than that. So
never mind.
We're not on a metric system.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, we're on a metric.
So,
okay.
you know, by default.
How do you put both those movies at the same level?
Because, like I said, it's
way better
mediocre.
than Ender's Game.
It's no, I wouldn't say so. I would say that Ender's Game is better, but on that scale, the plot in both of those didn't really do anything to benefit the story. So that's what I'm saying, is both of them had that potential to be good. I wouldn't go any higher than a 3 ever for them, but that's how they end up on the same rating, is because it's basically a 3 for me is mediocre.
That's fine. I mean,
to normal to that.
I just wanted you to clarify that because
I
don't understand that
because our scale is on 2 is a little or no redeeming factors, and this one doesn't. To me, it has more than just little. It's that's how it gets there.
So another fanboy over there.
So I'm the Buffalo 66 moment where I actually like it. So I give it.
Wait, we're gonna get great ratings on this. He mentioned Buffalo 66.
So yeah, 700 views later, I gave it 4 out of 5 just because.
What?
Yeah, because
I almost choked.
You know, his complexion just went red. I am not kidding.
Well,
4 out of 5.
Well, I knew I'm the odd man out because I love the universe of Vampire Hunter D. I love the story. I love the animation, and everything about it. And I knew I was gonna be the odd man out just because I'm a ridiculous fan of anime, especially Vampire Hunter D being the very first anime I ever saw. So,
okay, I can't see. Is Rob's beard on fire?
Yeah,
pretty
much. His hat's smoking, though.
It's all gray, though. So, you know,
I'm trying to figure out how I raised this kid, and I'm just gonna never mind.
Hey, you raised him to be an independent thinker.
I did.
Well done.
Thank you, Ryan. You helped clarify.
This coming from the guy who liked Blade Runner. I mean, come on.
Hey, now there's a good movie for you.
All 3 of us are going to disagree on that one.
I'm going to keep quiet.
So when we do a throwback, let's do a throwback at some time and do Blade Runner again, because I have a whole bunch of explaining to you guys.
We've been avoiding it.
You shouldn't, because I have a whole bunch of explaining to you what it was when it came out, because that's what that movie is all about. So period of time.
When we throw the Wayback Machine in neutral, we'll let you know.
There you go.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this comes the movie news section of the show. And the one about it is Jurassic Park World is set 22 years after Jurassic Park, the first one. And
so it's a prequel.
No, it's a sequel. It's after.
So, okay, my
It's
question.
22 years after Jurassic Park.
22 years after.
And
I'm sorry.
There's not a whole lot of information, and it also doesn't explain, is it a restart? Are they getting rid of the 2 and 3? They do not say so far.
Okay.
I don't think there'd be any reason to get rid of 2 and 3.
Number
They
2
killed
is
the
basically
franchise.
T-Rex pulling a King Kong.
And the
The cool
T-Rex
thing about
urine.
that movie.
And then, what was number 3? Number
The
3
was
they went
where they
back.
introduced to the pterodactyls and
Yeah, they went
flying.
back.
Because
Right.
the second one was Lost World, Jurassic Park, and the third one was Jurassic Park 3, original title there. They don't give any more information about it, but I really do think this is make or break. I think if this one fails, it's going to kill Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, dude. First of all, the first movie, man, is still that movie holds up so damn well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I waited in line for that movie. So.
Even the CGI in the really early stages of it was used in such a way that it would hold up forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just looked real.
It was awesome.
So the second and the third one, whether you like it or not, that first one, no matter what movies come out afterwards, everybody's going to see Jurassic Park. That's like issued to people in the suburbs.
And there's only a few things on the first Jurassic Park that really make it look outdated, and you can't say that about any other movie in the 90s that I can think of that make it really look is outdated, you know.
Well, it might look like it's a product of the time, like, okay, this movie takes place in the 90s, but fact remains is when it comes to the scary shit dinosaurs, you're not thinking like, oh, that's fake. It looks much better now.
You get involved with the story.
I'm really talking about the background and some of the other stuff in there that is a geek. I know that this places it in this era, but besides that, it holds up really, really well.
Okay.
But it definitely doesn't matter, that you can place the time. I mean, if anything, it's cool, yeah.
Well, I think it's a testament to the film that it still is a movie that stands out, and they recently re-released it in 3D.
I mean, it stands out enough that no matter what they, so many years later, they can just say the word Jurassic Park movie coming out, and everybody in the world's going to go see that movie.
And the next one is interesting news to me. Is Quentin Tarantino on the Tonight Show talked about what his next movie is,
and
it's a Western, and it's nothing to do with Django Unchained, according to him.
Well, sure, okay. Maybe he just got an affinity for Westerns now.
Yeah, it says...
Well, other than Kill Bill, he's never really done a sequel.
Well, according to this, it says, suffice to say that the film would not serve as a sequel to Django Unchained. So it may have similar characters in it, or Django, but it will not be a sequel somehow.
Okay.
He's probably just going to find an excuse to put Christoph Waltz in a cowboy hat again.
Right? Allegedly, this from the rumor mill I've heard before this is it might serve to talk about Brad Pitt's character in Glorious Bastards, like his family's background or something. I think that would be cool.
It's been announced. It's called Badlanders.
I didn't.
No information on it, but
all right.
So that'll be interesting. All of us being a fan of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
So next week's picks is James, and I know we're all waiting with bated breath to see what movie he picks.
So, since we are doing Bloody Christmas,
I gotta get comfortable here.
I figured I would actually do one that takes place during Christmas.
Oh!
Yeah, I was going to ask that, John.
So
John.
Yeah, John. So this one is starring Robert Downey Jr.,
okay,
Val Kilmer, and Michelle Monaghan.
I know this movie.
I believe you do. It took place in 2005, and its name is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I thought you were going to do that one.
So that's what we're going to be going with. Sex, murder, mystery. Welcome to the party.
It'll be a better 2 hours.
Well, you think, watch this. Next week, either loves it or he wants to strangle James.
Yeah? You gonna watch this one with Laura? That I want to see.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I gave... Jeez. I gave...
Look at him, he's blushing.
I gave Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust a 4 to 5. James gave it a 3 to 5. Ryan and Rob gave it a 2. I'm right. They're wrong. See you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.
the last word on this show. Fuck it.
Discussing